Hello. Happy Wednesday. I'm coming to you a day early because I really wanted to get started on the pretty thing that you're all here for. But before we really get started with the beautifying of your home and really telling your story, we need to talk about the hard things. And last week we talked about limitations that might be keeping you from even starting. This week we're talking about another hard question. And this question and concept, I think, is you see it within the minimalist community, maybe within the Marie Kondo like fan club. But I don't think you see it cohabitating with home decorating very much. And I'm going to bring it together because I think asking this question is super pivotal before we even begin to make the room pretty or the home pretty. And so the question is your home serving you? Or are you serving it? So what on earth does that mean? And how do we begin to even unpack that? I want to set the stage for you a little bit. And in doing so, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable because I'm asking myself these same questions, and I have been for about a year. And here's where it started. So I'm in my office and you see this really pretty wallpaper I just recently put up. I love it. In this home office, I run a business and it is multifaceted. It is also the office storage for our whole household. And then I also have inherited, my mom passed away a few years and I inherited a lot of her crafting things. And so, that has been living in this space for a while until I was ready to go through it. And that's wonderful and that's fine. But this home office is located right outside of our garage door, right outside of our living room, and is a space that is kind of equivalent to a junk drawer. You know the junk drawer, right? Like just throw it in there. It might be in there, the pen, the charger, the whatever. Pre-pandemic, if we had people coming over, this would be the space that you would just come and, oh, quick, put it in mom's office, quick, put it in here. And what that would mean is that when I would come to work in my office, when I would come to try to create or sew or craft or package items to be shipped or do some writing, what that would mean is that I would have to step over boxes, move things from the desk, take things from the closet, rearrange things in order to just get started. Super inefficient. And if you can imagine that inefficiency kind of blocked creativity, blocked progress, not to mention it is just not fun to look at piles of crap everywhere. So that's fun. So this was a really good example of a room that has not served me well. And so I've been on this journey of what does that mean for me? And can I detach myself from some of the things that don't fit here? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But before we do, I want to just offer you this other illustration. So you've heard this personal history a little bit, but we are living in a culture right now. Our American culture is a consumeristic culture. It is a keep up with the Joneses culture. It is a bigger is better. If we don't have space for it, what do? We open up the storage unit and we put it in there or in our garage. And guys, if you drove by my garage, you would know that yes, I am not only preaching to the choir, I am the cadet or whatever, the master of the choir. These are not problems that gloss over and skip over me. It is right home and central. And that is something that that has gotten me thinking about this kind of this cycle of creating stuff or having space for stuff, but then needing more space to put the stuff, but then not being happy with the stuff and then getting more stuff. And that's a hard question to compromise or to ask, and hard compromises to come up with, and excuse me. And so we're just gonna unpack that all. So like when you pull back all the layers and you ask yourself, is your home serving you or are you serving your home? What does that mean? Does it mean that you have stuff? Yes, everyone has stuff. But what else? So let's dive in. Before we do that, you need to know that this is not a judgment. This is not, I'm not on a mission to have every one of us getting in our tiny home and, living in a tiny home lifestyle. That's not the mission at all. At all. It's not. So please know that. Okay, so questions to consider. How do you feel when you walk into a room? When in my office, using that as the example, when I walked into my room, I felt honestly like I wanted to turn around and shut the door. Turn around, shut the door, and then like, I don't know, I'm picturing this, like if I need something from the room, like at the creep of the door opening and my hand kind of sneaking in to grab the thing and quick shutting it. That's how I felt. It was super overwhelming. And whatever the word is that is more than overwhelming, it was that. And if like my body could react to it, which it has felt a little bit suffocated. It's felt a little bit too much. Because the idea of coming into this space and needing to walk over two piles in order to clear off the desk and put things back on the shelf that didn't really have a space for it in the first place, in order to get some work done, it's super overwhelming. Now, on the flip side, if you walk into a space and you are feeling, oh, it's calm, it's inviting, it's not really screaming at me to do things, to work here. If the purpose is not working right now, it brings me joy. It is, I can breathe freely in this space. If that is how you feel when you walk into a room, pay attention to that. And that's a really good thing. That is an indication that your home, your room is serving you, whereas mine is an indication that it is absolutely not. I am serving it. I have to do a lot of work in order to even begin to work in the way that the purpose of the room is intended. So be thinking about that. Be thinking about that. Okay, the other thing to ask yourself is, if someone were to come over unannounced, what is your first reaction? Like, not what you want it to be, but what is your first reaction? Are you embarrassed? Are you ashamed? And is that feeling attached to a physical thing? Is it attached to like the look of your room? Is it attached to the stuff that's on the floor in your room? Is it attached to any physical object within your room, not your own person, but is it attached to anything physical? And if it is, and if that is a negative feeling that conjures up, like that reaction, that is an indication that your home might not be serving you. If it is a reaction that is attached to the person, yay, you're here, I'm so excited, or even, oh, what are you doing here? Oh, that's a surprise. If that is the reaction, then that is probably an indication that it has nothing to do with your home. And it's not, in that case, maybe your home doesn't even come into play. It's not even a thought in your mind. You are concentrating fully on that person at your door, unexpected, good or bad. And that is an indication that your home is serving you. Okay, another question. How often are you organizing and reorganizing your things? And when I mean organizing, I don't mean tidying up. I don't mean, at the end of the day, picking up the things that have kind of worked their way downstairs, or the dishes that need to be done, or, the everyday maintaining kind of things. I don't mean that. What I mean is, like in the example of my office, do you have appropriate homes for the things that you need in order to make that purpose happen within your space? For example, let's take my sewing things. I have a couple of machines, and I have some, thread and bobbin things, and the rulers, and, like all the things that need to be present in order for me to sew a project. And so my box or my storage is kind of big for that purpose. Now, if I accumulate more and more and more things to fill into that sewing box, but it doesn't fit, and I don't ever eliminate the stuff that's already in the box, but all of the stuff that should be fitting in that box gets, it spews onto the floor. It needs to then take up other storage areas that aren't intended for that purpose, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about organizing. Are you moving one pile from one area to another pile and then just kind of like Tetrising or Jengaing piles of stuff? If you are doing that, that is an indication that your home isn't serving you, that you are serving it. Um, and it's not just a matter of does everything have a place and everything, but does it fit within that place that it does have? That's the question to be asked. So, yeah, another question. Can you identify the purpose of your room, and is your room meeting that purpose easily? And easily is the key question here. This is, I think, the pivotal question that needs to be asked before we begin to start making the room pretty. And it is a question that I'm going to be asking any of you who join me on the journey of planning, starting to plan your room. We always start with the question of what is the purpose of your room? That's a hint for next week. What is the purpose? But if you can identify the purpose of your room, but then there is a physical barricade that is keeping you from meeting that, what is that? What is that? For me, in my room, in that example again, the purpose of my room is creativity, it is writing, it is packaging things, it is all of that, all of those little facets of things that make my business run. And if I can't do that easily, if I have to step over a million things, move a million things, if I have to spend an hour cleaning or reorganizing or anything in order to get to work and get busy, it is not meeting that purpose. And it's definitely not doing it easily. Okay, so before we can design a room, we have to understand the purpose for it. Okay, and hint, hint, it's coming next week. And if that purpose is not being met, we need to ask why. What is that barricade? And if that why is too much stuff, okay, if it is too much stuff, that is always going to be a barricade and a barrier to having the pretty. It will. It just is. It's going to always be that elephant in the room that keeps you from loving the room, and making it pretty and just really enjoying it and having that feeling of this is what I want it to feel like. It will always be a barricade, no matter how pretty it is. So that is the heart of the issue. This is the heart of the issue. And what I encourage you to start thinking about before we get into planning a room to begin with. And I know that this can be triggering. I know it can. It was certainly triggering for me, and certainly kind of a different approach to thinking about your things. I mean, of course, there's always those times in life when you think, oh, I need to go through and get rid of things I don't use and whatnot. But when you think about it being a barrier to productivity, or even a barrier to the way that you interact with your family, because sometimes your stuff can be not only a barricade to the pretty, but like a barricade to time. It takes so much time away from the purpose of you and your family and the whole reason why you're telling your family story in your home in the first place. So that is the goal. The goal is to create space and function that allows you the space and opportunity to love your family well, to showcase your family within your home in a way that tells your story. And that is the purpose here at Fig and Farm at Home. So I have homework for you. I have two homeworks. One homework is if you want to dive a little bit more into this, great. And if you would like a quiz, I've developed a quiz that I can send to you. I can email it to you. If you want that, it kind of outlines just a little bit more, gives you a little bit more to think about. And then like a number scale, a rubric for kind of identifying just the starting point of where you are. It is not exact. It's not an exact science. It's just kind of the beginning of a conversation. And if you would like that, just send me a DM with your email and I'll shoot that out to you. Excuse me. If you And then the other homework is this. If you have a room in mind, so next week we're going to start planning my process, how I plan from beginning, from conception to delivery to installation, conception to installation, how we plan a room in order to make it purposeful, functional, beautiful, all of those things, and the processes I use along the way. And if you have a room in mind that you want to just kind of walk along with us, then I want you to jump into my DMs too and tell me, what room is it? Tell me a little bit more about that room and start engaging in that conversation so that I know where you're headed, so that I can start that conversation and be engaging with you. Again, I want you guys to just remember that this information today, it is a hard topic to digest. I think it's an important topic, but it is not a judgment topic for me. It is not me telling you you have too much stuff and you need to go live in a commune or a tiny home. That is not my goal. That is not my goal at all. It's just a mustard seed, just something for you to think about as we begin to move forward. And it might be something that we move forward and then you revisit in 2 years, and that's okay too. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you are all staying safe in this crazy little world we have right now. And until next week, I will see you then.